Gray Gamefowl history and physical characteristics. In most gamefowl fights in the past, the Texas, or the red gamefowl, often an imported American bloodline or cross, was the Yamato in betting circles. Odds were always against the white feathered rooster or the so-called Talisayin when matched with a Texas. Urban legend has it that a Talisayin is the stronger fighter only during a full moon, snicker, and the first quarter moon of the month, and that one should avoid fighting bright red gamefowl because the power levels are evenly matched for both gamefowl. Yeah, right. Other nonsense included: fight only with green or black-legged because yellow or white-legged gamefowl are luckier during this time. Some of the biases against the Talisayin have been expressed by pundits like a slur against the bloodline. In general, off-colored birds are weaker because there are fewer of them. These gamefowl are chosen and bred by those new to the sport, and their breeding methods lack the solid foundation of proven and pure bloodlines, which are the base of most red birds. Off-colored birds are like regressive offspring and mostly unpredictable, hence the full moon superstition. Now everything is different. No matter the matchups, the Talisayin always is the sure bet, especially if the game farm fighting one already has a winning tradition. And more often than not, the Talisayin also gets the lucky wins like the so-called last hit. You now get really good fighting gamefowl and more than a sure chance at winning with grays. Grays or the Talisayin have had a resurgent winning streak to become the current dark horse sure bet in most gamefowl circuits. Maybe it is because they now have sweater and hatch infused in them to make them stronger and more relentless. And the infusion into pure stock law grays and Harold Brown grays' foundation, already known for power hitting, created a new kind of Talisayin with speed and quickness to boot to fight even better. Here is a short introduction to the bloodline of gamefowl known as gray, or in Filipino, the former underdog Talisayin. The foundation grays. Law grays. Around 1935-1936, Law named his fighting grays, Law grays. In published Fight Club reports, he used to name his fighters, Canadian grays. This was so he could remember that some of his fighters were Henky Dean grays, bred in Canada for Col. John Madigan. Law grays were yellow and white-legged. All were straight-combed. They were the exact same blood as the red Madigan clarets. The Law grays were infused with O'Connell Albany, hen side, under a Madigan gray cock. The yellow leg becoming more common with a white leg still expected. A later infusion of McNerney grays solidified the predominance of yellow legs over the white. Law crossed these on a lot of his other good fowl and advertised and sold a lot of fowl. A successful cross was the Law grays to Madigan's Texas Rangers. These came dark-legged. Therefore, if you have dark-legged Law grays, and the trait is due to Law's breeding and not some other breeder afterward. Some Boston Roundhead was also bred into some matings. As cocker legends have it, those Law cocks would wander for a mile and draw another cock into them and snuff him of his living chicken. More than a bloody heel, they had the death heel, really strong hitting roosters. Harold Brown grays. Harold Brown, who originated Red Fox Farm, and John O. Fowler were partners and developed these gamefowl. The strain goes back to 1937. J.D. Perry called them perfect chickens, as Post Oak perfected the fowl even further. Some come blue-legged just like Harold Brown's Red Fox Farm grays or Post Oak grays. The Harold Brown grays are also known as silverback, colored grays in their purity, are simply called the silver grays. They are an excellent as pure stock gamefowls that can withstand heavy inbreeding for years, or used as a foundation for other crosses. When you have a foundation blood that can withstand long-term inbreeding to maintain their purity without losing their vigor and other attrib behind their blows, you can hear them cut their enemies. You will be proud to own a Harold Brown gray as part of your gamefowl stock. The perfect Talisayin. Regular grays. The regular gray is said to be a combination of three gray families: the Law gray, the Sweater gray, and the Plainhead Muff gray. These three excellent and proven foundation bloodlines were improved by Freddie Wimberly, who received Colonel Madigan's gamefowl, who late in age gave them to Harold Brown and John O. Fowler, and are the basis of the regular gray bloodline and genetics. The gray feathering is a dominant trait, and an excellent bird to cross with the Hatch or Albany. These crosses are for that problem bird in a lineup against you. Grays from E.W. Law and Sweater McGinnis were perfected by John O. Fowler and Jerry Hughes. Regular grays come green-legged, sometimes with yellow, silver duck wings and straight comb. They are medium to low stationed and are known for power and gameness. Breeders note that they are as powerful and dead game as the blueface hatches. They will enhance any cross with other gamefowl, providing agility, dedication, and lightning-fast speed. Because of the similarities between the Herald Brown and the Law Greys, you can combine them with other bloodlines or other greys for genetic enhancement and stability of a strain. In action, the regular gray fight like the whirlwind, in the air or on the ground. Most decent gamefowl cannon will be hitting his opponent, but the gray has the ability to cut deep, being a power hitter, and not just strike his opponent. Other fighting fowl are not deep cutters, but when you get your hands on really proven line of greys, you have a winner, whether the moon is full or not. Secret breeding tech. Infusion of gray blood to maintain a bloodline. Cocking sages often say that inbreeding problems, like more regressive traits appearing in offspring, in your pure stock or red bloodlines can be solved via infusion with gray blood to the reds. To restore the bloodline's vitality after so many years of inbreeding the reds. The regular gray is known for power and gameness and is a bloodline from a cross of 3 other superior stock of gray crosses. This is why infusion is a smart remedy, because it can bring the new set of genes to somewhat rejuvenate and revitalize mental sharpness, health, and other traits of the inbred red family. It is one of the best kept secrets among old school breeders, but they don't want to talk about it too much. Another reason why most gamefowl breeders of reds, strangely, do not sell off their own greys. Other bloodline traditionalists, usually old-timers who only fight with their own strains and seldom fought gamefowl that were crosses. These were dyed-in-the-wool line breeders, using an inbreeding system, or breeding crosses only with the same bloodline, using a specimen from another farm. The gamefowl they pit are mostly uniform-looking, and uniform fighting birds, nothing special. Cockers of this cloth will exalt and vouch for the purity and authenticity of their bird's bloodline as their standard for competition. Until other smarter cockers defeat their pure stock with smartly crossed murdering gamefowl. Smart cockers of old knew better. Once they notice that their strain is losing vigor, an infusion of gray blood into the reds will be their secret tech to bring the vigor back without changing their general physical conformation. Of course, this is done as discreetly as possible, because crosses are believed to taint pure stock and undermine the breeder's reputation as providers of pure bloodlines. But today, there is no snobbery anymore as far as infusion of bloodlines into stock is concerned. If pure stock is indeed maintained, it is done so a base bloodline with its identifiable and known traits can be used for infusion to either maintain or improve another bloodline. An outstanding specimen of a pure breeding stock, free of fault, commands a premium price to Sari. But today, there is no snobbery anymore as far as infusion of bloodlines into stock is concerned. If pure stock is indeed maintained, it is done so a base bloodline with its identifiable and known traits can be used for infusion to either maintain or improve another bloodline. An outstanding specimen of a pure breeding stock, free of fault, commands a premium price to serious breeders. A pureblood sire bull cock can fetch up to $100,000 while significantly less for any of his brothers. Serious gamefowl hobbyists are willing to pay the price to acquire the bull cock. Crossing a pure gray cock to the red hens will produce all grays, 1/2 gray, 1/2 red in pedigree, both males and females. Breeding back the gray offspring stags to the red hens will give both reds and grays stags and pullets. The resulting genotype will be pure red, although they are 1/4 gray 3/4 reds in their pedigree. Thus, the infusion introduces new blood but does not dilute the core genetic bloodline to an extent that it becomes a different fighting cock altogether. The fabled gray Kelso cross. Like the sweater gray, the gray Kelso is one of the newer strains that promise awesome fighting prowess in the pit. Combining power hitting, gameness, fighting smarts like weaving and sidestepping and not jumping up to meet an attacker but waiting for him to land then launching its own air attack, the gray Kelso is an improvement of the two strains, with the gray as the dominant genotype of the two.
Disclaimer: no copyright infringement intended. All music, picture and videos inserted belongs to the rightful owner, for educational, documentary and entertainment purpose only.